First, why do you want to read? Do you feel obliged to? Did some YouTube video tell you to? Seriously, why? My reason to start reading was artificial and fear-driven. There's this YouTube channel called Alux. It's an automated channel which makes videos like 15 books rich people read, 10 habits rich people do, 10 ways rich people think. There's a theme, nah. This is how I started meditating consistently, telling me that 4 in 5 millionaires have a meditation practice daily. 90% of CEOs read. They exercise daily for 30 minutes. So that fear got me through the doors of self-improvement. But that doesn't need to be the reason. The fear of poverty, the fear of being broke is what caused me to meditate. But as I meditated, I realized that that is not a sufficient fuel of how you portray yourself, how you carry yourself. Which is like, another example is, you may start going to the gym for an artificial reason of validation from female attention, but then you realize you actually like the stress relief that comes with working out. We are very much aware that books are important, knowledge is king. We know all of that. More time, we know that successful people attribute their success to reading. Knowing that, imagine what I'd tell myself. I'll tell myself, yeah, they're just saying that. I was dismissing it. They're just saying it because it sounds good. What? The levels, the contraptions in which my mind stunts me is astounding. Like, you see how much, like, I could just be like, oh, I don't like reading. But my mind has to tell me that successful people are lying because it sounds good. Like, talk about a cope. If you've gone deep into the same business Alux videos that I've been, then you most likely know that Bill Gates and Elon Musk read 50 plus books a year. Now that I no longer see reading as a chore, I realize that Musk and Gates would not be where they are if they hadn't read. In a way, it's a shortcut. You're borrowing the knowledge, the expertise, the experience of all these amazing brains, and you can apply it to your own life. All the stuff someone has learned throughout their lifetime in a certain field, spiritually, you have access to that. I have access to that. It almost seems not fair, but I just never really clocked the value of a book. If you're gonna have fear anyways, why not make it useful? Embrace the fear of being mediocre. And as corny as that sounds, as hustle, grind culture as that sounds, why would you want to be stuck in the same place with the same mindset as you are? Use that fear to kickstart you in the direction you want to go. Long term, fear is not going to help you sustain or motivate you, or it's just not a good fuel, but it's a good kickstart. Big man thing. How do you not want to learn and grow? Lifelong learning is, I sound like a motherfrickin' Alux video, but that is, learning is beyond school. It's beyond age. And I think when you stop learning at any age, that's when you really stagnate in life. I could say that's when you die, but that's a bit deep still. But yeah, again, that's just, if we're going back to fear of being stagnant, of being in the same place, same mindset, talking to the same old friends, talking about the good old days for the 10th time this week. Like, that's what terrifies me. That's what terrifies me, when all you can do is talk about and reminisce about the past because you ain't got nothing much to look forward to still. That's terrifying. That should be a good kickstart. So fear is what helped me start reading, but now I just enjoy it. Like, I don't see it as a chore. It's wonderfw. It's a gift. I think it's a privilege to be able to read. Like, no cap. W in the chat if you agree. Another thing that makes it harder for you to read is your belief system. I'm a slow reader, therefore I shouldn't read. What? That's like saying, my mind is too busy, my mind is too noisy to meditate. That's what the practice is there for. Again, it really be your own mind holding you back. As much as we want to blame our rivals, our enemies, it really be you. And the thing is, I still think I'm a slow reader, which is really nice because it's still the same limiting belief, but it's not stopping me. That's just lovely. Thank you, mind. You're actually doing all right. But yeah, what's the point of rushing through a book? And I've caught myself doing this recently, where I'm just trying to speed read through the paragraphs, not really retaining anything, not even knowing what the fuck is going on, just so I can get my body count up. With this approach, you kind of go back into the mindset of making reading a chore, because then you just make it a task. You just make it you make it a thing you have to do. Like that's not how it should be. It should be fun. It should be fun. If I don't want to read, can I just admit that I don't want to read, but instead I have to put up these mental frameworks of why reading is not for me? Like, bro, just because that just causes more resistance to actually pick up a book. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think this should be said, but there are books about anything and everything for different levels of readers, and there is just no excuse. If you're thinking you don't have enough time, that's funny, because you're probably playing 2 hours of video games. You're probably smoking weed every day. You have the time. Like, just admit you don't want to read. Like, simple as, like, you don't have. No one's forcing you to read, but stop lying to yourself. For real. You're better than that. You deserve better than to lie to yourself. But with reading, the fact that you can get lost in a world or multiple worlds, that is just, wow, that's just something I didn't really take advantage of growing up. But I just feel like I'm just saying the obvious, like fiction. Just dive into some next universe and just forget about yourself. Or you can pick up a biography from your favorite rapper. Like, it's endless. It's absolute endless. And maybe that's why people get overwhelmed with books, because once you start reading, you realize there are an infinite amount of books to read. Yeah, I can see how that's overwhelming, but then you just never run out of options, which means like no excuse still. It is such a privilege to read. This is the closest we can get into the mind of Steve Jobs, the candid thoughts of a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, or the prisoners of Auschwitz. The fact that we can go through these different types of space-time continuum, bro, like, I'm blessed. I'm actually blessed. Maybe you've had bad connotations reading in school, or perhaps the fact that you're not reading overwhelms you, which creates further resistance. It's better to admit that you don't want to read rather than make up some next mental gymnast excuses, because that shit is draining. The mental acrobats will make it harder for you. Take this from me, I hadn't finished my first book until I was 20 that wasn't Captain Underpants. Love.